Hey everybody, let's talk today about how stiff hips and lack of flexibility in your hips affects your transition that then creates changes in your sequence, your shot pattern, and robs you of distance. So I love this topic because it is one of the things I see the most in a number of my older golfers, especially my older guys that are dealing with stiffness and feeling tightness or lack of flexibility in their hips and their body. And this is important for two reasons. A few more than that, but let's go into the two big golf-specific reasons that guys and gals see me for, right? Which is distance and consistency or control. So there's two pieces on the distance and control front. There's the ball flight. So when we have, let's talk about ball flight, right? Increased spin, more fade or more slicing, we don't like that, right? So how does stiff hips in our transition affect us or stop us from hitting the ball the way we want? So in our transition, in a perfect world, we make a 40-degree turn in our hips, maybe 40 or 50 degrees in our shoulders. And then what we want to do from here is we want to lead with our hips, let our hands come underneath a little bit and shallow out, and then work around and finish. Okay? So what we want to see is our hips initiate and our hands really come down and then work around. For guys and gals that are stiffer, what we tend to see is someone that turns all the way around is that they then start to lead with the hands, come across, and then have to save it with either early releasing, right, casting the club, early extending and trying to shallow themselves out, compensating at their spine. So many things happen when that's the case. And that can be a culprit of a poor transition. And that poor transition could definitely be affected by your stiff hips, okay? The second piece to stiff hips, if you are stiff, you're going to have a hard time getting a full turn and getting hand depth. And hand depth makes it easier for you to shallow the club out. If the hands are too high, it's usually a little bit difficult. Impossible? No. But if the hands are more out here versus in here, it's much easier for the club to shallow out and work around when the hands are deeper because you've turned better. And by the way, if you turn better at your hips, you've got a longer backswing, right, which gives you more power, which we talked about in our last video. But in terms of the transition, if our hips are stiffer, our hands may come earlier in the golf swing. We might be working around and outside, which creates more of that left to right ball flight, very spinny, and can kind of get caught up in the wind and just rob you of a lot of distance, right? You're not really hitting up on it and maximizing what you want. So let's dig into that a little bit more, right? So we've just talked about how that can happen, but let's talk about, and we've talked about ideally what happens. Let's get a little bit more into the details for you guys and gals that like a little bit more of the details. If we turn our hips 40 degrees and we turn our shoulders another 40, we've made an 80-degree turn, okay? And that's kind of moderate, you know? If we turn 90, we'd be happy, but let's say we just turned 80. From here, what we want to see happen to start our downswing is our hips to start to unwind and shift weight to our left side. If we are stiff, let's say we've turned 80, but we're really tight, that's as far as we go, we've torqued ourselves up. Well, at home, rotate as far as you can, and then try and unwind. You're going to feel lots of tension. You're going to be fighting yourselves. It'll be really difficult. So for those that are really stiff and are still trying to find that perfect backswing position, you're going to turn into kind of your max or end range position. And when you do that, it's really hard to unwind. So then you're going to see the upper body and torso come in, right? And we call that unwinding or separating from the top. We call this X stretch. So if you think you've got two poles, one pole through my hips, one through here, we've created an X. And when we move further away, if my body stays steady and the hip goes, we're making more stretch. So in really good golfers, professional golfers, and low handicap golfers, you're going to want to see that stretch somewhere between 3 and 5 degrees, maybe a few more, not really a whole lot less, and not tons more. Okay? What that allows you to do is, right, we're talking about sequencing. We want hips to come first, shoulders second, arms third, and hands and club last, which allows you to get that whip effect and that efficiency in your golf swing, rather than trying to muscle something or lose a lot of energy by releasing the club. So you've got two pieces there, right? You've got the X stretch and the compensations that then come if you do not have that, right? The over the top, and then so those things are going to slow the club down as it is, and also that move of coming over the top is going to create a ball flight that's typically for a right-handed golfer, a slice or a fade, more spin, which is also going to lose you of distance. So those two big pieces in your transition are going to affect your ability to hit the ball further and have speed in your golf swing. I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions, please reply, comment below, reach out to me, and let me know. Again, if you want to know how this applies to you or you're curious about assessment, reach out. The most important thing is that you get physically assessed at your hips, your upper body, and all the places that you move from. You go through a medical screen and make sure that you're healthy and that there's other pieces that you might need to work on or not work on. And then you need to go on video and on 3D motion. So on video, it's two-dimensional. We get to see some pieces, but we don't see everything. 3D motion, we get you down to the 100th of a second. We can really see what's happening in your transition and see how well you're separating relative to your body. If you have questions, like I said, please give us a buzz below, comment. I will look forward to getting back to you and answering those questions for you. And then otherwise, until next time, we talk more about in terms of our hips, speed, power, for the next couple videos that are coming up. All right, thanks guys and gals. Have a good one.